Ladies and gentlemen, today we are coming together with another classic. Today we are making something simple, but to the point and flavorful. We are making garlic herb chicken. Let's get into it. All right, so for this recipe, this is everything we're going to need. Obviously, you're going to need chicken. Now, I have chicken breasts, but you guys know I prefer chicken thighs, but unfortunately, could not find any, so it is what it is. You're going to need parsley. You're going to need brown rice or your choice of side. You're going to need salt, pepper. You're going to need oregano. You're going to need thyme, onion powder, garlic powder, sage, and rosemary, and also butter to make your herb butter, and then minced garlic to also put in your butter, and you cannot forget the shallots. So let's go ahead and get the rice started. All right, so we're gonna go in with a half cup of rice. Make sure to wash it off because rice is super dirty. Make sure you wash that through really good. All right, going with the pot. Yeah. We're gonna go in with cup and about 3/4 of water, a little bit more there. And then we're gonna bring that to a boil. Now, while we're waiting for this to boil, we're gonna go in with some salt. Not too crazy with it. Gonna go in with some pepper. A bit of pepper. I'm gonna go in with some onion powder. Yeah, I like to be generous with this. I'm gonna go in with some garlic powder. Gonna go in with some sage, goat with the game. And last but not least, we're gonna go in with some thyme. If I take the plastic off, that'd be great. We're just gonna go with a dash of thyme, and we'll bring that to a boil. All right, now while the rice is cooking, we're going to go ahead and start making the herb butter. We're going to have shallots, it's going to have parsley, it's going to have garlic, sage, oregano, thyme, and salt. Now, let's go ahead and start chopping up the parsley and the shallots. Start cutting horizontally, just like that. Now you want to mince this down pretty good since it is going to go into a butter. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use half of these shallots to saute the garlic herb chicken, and then the other half is going to be used to go into the herb butter. So you just want to mix this up pretty good. You want to make sure that it's minced pretty good because you don't want chunks, at least when I like my food. When I'm doing my herbs and vegetables and spices, I don't like chunks of herbs in my food, in my butter, in anything. It always makes a dish a lot smoother when the spices and herbs are subtle versus having big chunks of pieces in it like it's cereal or something. Obviously, it does matter, what type of dish you're doing, but typically the smaller, the better. You're never going to go wrong by making things smaller. That way it doesn't take away from the texture of the dish. Make sure too when you're mincing to always scrape off the side of your blade because the herbs and spices will build up on the side of the blade. So you want to make sure that you're constantly wiping that down. That way you don't have huge chunks left over. All right, so this is about the texture you want. All right, so now we have our parsley. Let's go ahead and chop this up. Now, an easy way to chop parsley is by folding it under. So you can wrap it like that and tuck it. And you just want to wrap it around like that. That's going to help hold it together. That way you can just hit it all at once. You just kind of want to go slow with it. You don't want to go crazy. Since parsley is a little taller, you kind of want to go big motions, big swoops, swoop, 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 versus like when I was doing shallots, I was mincing, I was chopping very quickly. But with this, you want to ease it in. The last thing you want to do is cut off your fingers, so go nice and slow. No need to rush it. If you get all the way down to the stems, just like that. Now, this is when I will start to go a little crazier with the cuts. You want to make sure that you're getting all of that parsley nice and chopped up because the leaves are big. And you want to make sure that your parsley is chopped evenly. So you want to make sure you're going all the way across the bunch of parsley. Yeah. And that's looking good. Like I said, with everything in this, especially with herb butter, you want to go really fine because we're going to take all these ingredients and infuse it in the butter. So we can't be having chunks of stuff in here. All right, now let's go ahead and melt the butter down. All right, so for the butter, you want to go in with about 3 tablespoons, roughly. About that much butter. I'm going to go in with it, and we're going to let that melt down. And I think, honestly, I might even go in with 4, to be honest. You know, you want to make sure, I'd rather have too much than not enough because we're going to take this butter and we're going to toss the chicken in at the end. And we're also going to want some to pour over the rice as well. So let's go about 4 tablespoons. And you want to make sure that you melt this down slowly. You don't want to put too much heat on it and then make it kind of fizzle out. You want to slowly kind of just melt this down. So I do have it on low heat, as you guys can see. And then once that melts down, we're going to infuse all the herbs and spices. So in this bowl, I have the parsley, shallots, and garlic, and we're going to go ahead and infuse that in. And then we're also going to add salt and the rest of the seasonings. All right, so our rice is almost done cooking. We got the herb butter melted down. Now we're going to go ahead and start going in with the seasonings. So we're going to go in with some onion powder, just a little bit. We're going to go in with some garlic powder. All right. And then also, we're going to go in with the oregano and thyme. So a little bit of thyme. Actually, a lot of thyme. You want to make it really herby. I like myself really herby. Almost dropped my seasoning there. Going with oregano. All right. And then we're going to go in with the mixture. All right. So that's parsley, garlic, and shallots. And also, can't forget the goat of the game. Got to use sage, you guys. You guys know how I am about my sage. Got to go in with some sage. Yes, sir. All right. And I think I'm going to use a spatula. Like one of these. To just kind of stir that in. And that looks amazing. Look at the detail on that, guys. That looks amazing. I'm also going to add in a little bit of salt as well. I typically cook with unsalted butter. You know, if you have salted butter, you may not want to add salt to it, but all my butter is unsalted, so we are going to add. And just so you guys can see the detail on that butter, look at that. That looks amazing. So we're going to set that to the side and let that infuse. And now we're going to go ahead and start slicing the chicken. All right, so we got our chicken breast here. Now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and slice it in half. Now, I always like to slice chicken breast in half to prevent dryness because when you cook a whole piece like this, it is very hard to keep it moisturized. So I always like to cut mine in half. That way it cooks faster and I can gauge when it's ready faster. So we're going to go ahead and cut it down the middle. Always remember when you cut chicken, you want to keep your fingers up, palm down. So don't do this. You want to do this. Keep your fingers out the way. That way, as it slips and the blade slices, it doesn't hit your fingers. So you want to go palm down, fingers up. All right. You just want to go slow across just like that. Turn it. And then you want to slice it down the middle, just like that. And there you have it. And you want to make sure that you cut it evenly, because if you cut it unevenly, what's going to happen is that one side is going to cook faster than the other if they're not of similar thickness, right? So you want to make sure that the chicken has similar thickness on both sides. So let's go ahead and season this up and then get it in the pan. All right, so for seasoning, I'm going with some oil, so it doesn't stick. I'm going to go on with some sea salt. I'm going with some sage, the goat of the game. You guys know I love sage. Go pretty generous for this since this is an herb chicken. You can go heavier on the herbs, garlic powder, of course, staple, and onion powder, staple. All right. Now you guys just want to mix this in here to make sure the chicken gets evenly coated on both sides. If you need to, you can add some more oil. Like that. You want to make sure you get the seasoning in every crevice, every corner of the chicken breast. All right. Now let's go ahead and get the saute ready. All right, so I got the cast iron nice and warm. We're gonna go in with some oil. Want to make sure you mix that around as always. If you guys are using a cast iron, you always want to use a glove because as you know, this handle gets very hot. So you want to make sure you don't burn your skin. Just get that around nice and even. Yeah, going 3D with it. All right, then we're gonna go in with the garlic and shallots. All right, let's get our trusty tongs. You can spread that around. And when you're sauteing, you always want to remember to keep it on low heat. You don't want whatever you're sauteing to burn. So if you want to add a little bit of oil, you always add a little bit more oil to prevent the burning with the chicken. All right. Just like that. Beautiful. And don't be afraid with the oil. The last thing you want is for all the seasoning on the chicken to stick to the pan, right? So you want to make sure that it's oiled up nice and good so that it makes a crust, because when you have a good layer of oil, it makes a crust on the chicken. But when you don't have enough oil, it's going to peel all the seasoning off once you lift it up. And that's what we don't want. So we're going to let that cook on one side for about, say about 5 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and flip it. All right, so it's about time to turn the chicken. It's been about 4 to 5 minutes. And look at that. That looks amazing. A little bit of black on there. You can go ahead and get that off. That's just the saute part. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more oil too. That looks amazing though. And this chicken is almost done, so we're going to let it go for about another, say 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. And then we're going to go ahead and toss it in the garlic herb oil. All right, so our chicken breast is done. Now we're going to go ahead and pull it and set it to the side. That looks beautiful. Just take a look at that. That looks great. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and clean this pot off. That way we can saute it in the herb butter. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take the chicken. And we're going to infuse it with the herb butter. That looks amazing. All right. And then we're just going to pour that over. Just like that. Wow. Look at that, guys. That looks amazing. All right. So we're just going to turn it. We want to make sure that it gets covered very well in the herbs and the butter. Make sure it's coated well. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and move it over. Look at that, guys. All right. So we're going to go ahead and give it a taste test, and then we're going to plate it up. All right, guys. So I have a piece of the chicken here. Let's go ahead and taste it and see how it came out. Man, that's good. All right, guys. So there you have it. Garlic herb butter chicken with rice. Savory and simple recipe to make for your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, wishing you peace and prosperity. Until next time, see you soon.